Test, test. All right. Welcome to the weekly Idaho Vandal press conference. Exciting weekend ahead. A lot of action, obviously, this weekend. Kicking off Thursday with women's soccer against Washington State, Battle of Palouse. A lot of opportunities for the Battle of Palouse this year across all of our sports. So Thursday, Battle of Palouse here, 7 p.m. with women's soccer. Really excited about that matchup. Vandals are 1-1 coming in that matchup. Then Friday we will have cross country at the Eastern Washington Inland Northwest Classic, and then volleyball will kick off their season here at Memorial Gym with the Vandal Volleyball Classic. So a lot of action this week, and then we will have on Saturday Vandal Volleyball Classic continues, and we will close out the week Saturday evening in Pullman for the Battle of Palouse on the football side. So Vandals come in obviously ranked 12th in the country right now. That may change tomorrow, but really excited about this opportunity. Coach Thomas Ford Jr. will be coaching his first game as head coach of the Vandals. We welcome him back after a 1-year hiatus. Really excited to have him at the helm of the team. So we're going to go ahead and give the floor to Coach Ford, and then what he will do is provide an opening statement, and then we'll move on to questions. So feel free to ask questions after his statement. But Coach Ford.
All right, thanks, guys. Really excited to have you guys all here today for our kind of first introductory presser of the season, really getting to real football now. Very excited about this group. I think fall camp, we got what we wanted to accomplish. I think we became a team that's very physical, really focused on getting better in the trenches. And then I thought our coordinators and position coaches and support staff did a phenomenal job of just executing fundamental things that we want to do, both offense, defense, special teams. And overall, I thought it was an incredibly competitive camp throughout all of fall, and excited to start really getting after an opponent. You know, we got a little bit of early work with some Wazoo stuff over this past week, and so trying to get a jump start on those guys down the road. But we're very excited for this matchup. Obviously, it's a storied rivalry. I think it goes back to like 1894. I think they played 93 times in that time. And so hopefully 94 comes out with the Vandals on top. But again, extremely happy to have you guys here and fired up about this season. And so I want to open it up for any questions you guys have. Yeah.
What kind of energy can we expect to see from the Vandals for on Saturday? Is there any extra motivation?
I mean, I don't think we're any more motivated for this game than any other. You know, we're excited to play this game because it's the opportunity we have. We really try to focus on 1 week at a time, one practice at a time. And so I know our guys, in terms of energy, the energy is going to be there, right? We're excited to play our week 1 opponent. And it just happens to be we can sleep in our own beds for an away game. So I think that's pretty nice to do. But I don't know that there's extra motivation. I think our guys are always excited to play an FBS opponent. And again, getting to do that 8 miles down the road is not a bad deal.
You have a bit of history with this. What do you remember about this game? If somebody asked you about this game, what do you tell them?
Yeah, you know, obviously I've been at 3 programs, or well, really kind of 4 if you count out Idaho twice, but my last 4 stops as a coach have been places that kind of don't necessarily like those guys in Pullman. Being at Washington, here at Idaho as an assistant, you know, I had Oregon State last year, then obviously back here at the helm as the head coach for Idaho. So yeah, I mean, obviously in 2022 we played them, and was a good battle. That first game of Coach Eck's era here at Idaho, and I expect nothing different from our guys. You know, they're going to come out ready to play, and I think they're excited for the opportunity to take on those guys down the road.
Yeah, Coach, for you guys offensively, obviously, Brendan coordinator, Brendan quarterback, what are you wanting to see from Wood in the offense, and what really have you seen through fall camp that Vandal fans can be excited about?
Well, yeah, I think what you saw in fall camp is a group that has an identity, right? Our offensive line has taken a lot of pride in being the strong point of our offense. I know Nate, as a party, had mentioned that a couple, you know, over the last couple of years, it's kind of almost been like, it's kind of not very good, right? That's the unit that's holding us back a little bit. And I think it couldn't be far from the truth with this year's group. And so I think that's probably the thing that struck me the most in terms of where our offense is riding those guys up front. Those guys are a great group, hardworking guys, physical group. And then obviously our running back situation. I think we've got 3 of the best running backs in our conference. Eli Cummings and Art Williams have been phenomenal through fall camp. Nate Thomas will be ready to go come week 1. And so I think that group is really going to help us establish the run. And then our quarterback, right? I think both of our top 2 quarterbacks have played at a pretty high level, right? Joshua Wood and Sawyer Teeney, the freshman from Silverton, Oregon, have really done a nice job distributing. You know, our receiving core was a younger group, kind of inexperienced group, but you see the talent emerging offensively throughout fall camp with those guys making a ton of plays, you know, both down the field and then, you know, catching the ball and running in space. So I feel really good about where the offense is right now. Obviously, we got to go play someone else, but I feel good with that offensive line kind of being the engine starter, and then our quarterback situation is very good. And whenever you have those 2 things and then some running backs you can turn around and hand it off to 30 times a game, I think you're in good shape.
Strange things happen in first weeks in 2022. In your career, how many of those things have you been involved in?
Probably a lot more than I'd like to, right? I think anytime you're in games like this where, you know, on the outside looking in, everyone just kind of thinks Idaho's cannon fodder, right? Like, oh, they're playing at FBS school. And I think our players couldn't think further from that, right? They don't really care that they're at FBS school. I don't think they care about that at all. They care about them being our week 1 opponent. So I think there's definitely some strange things that happen in week 1 games, but I think we're going to try to limit the strange things that happen that really affect us negatively.
Early on, Joshua Wood, what do you expect to see him in his first game? And also, are you telling him anything like to stay calm? So I assume he's jacked up to start week 1. Like, are you saying anything to stay calm or anything else to say?
Not really. Joshua's not really a guy that gets too high or low, right? He's a pretty even keel kid. When he throws a touchdown, he'll be excited and celebrate. When he throws an interception, he'll look to the sideline and see what he could have done better. So I haven't really talked much about hype or, you know, emotions with Joshua because I feel like he's a pretty even keel guy overall.
You know, the Cougs are about as new as you guys are. How tough is it to prepare for somebody like that?
Yeah, it's tougher, right? Because you're really looking at schemes and you don't know for sure what they're going to do because it isn't the team that you're watching all summer necessarily. If you go and watch the Cougs, it's not the scheme, right? If you go and watch South Dakota State, it's not the dudes. And so I think it's always a challenge to see a brand new staff with brand new players. But I think they have the same challenge, right? So I think it'll be from a leverage standpoint. I don't think there's much either way. But I think for us, we're just really focused on what we think that we're going to do or they're going to come out with and build a plan off of that and adjust accordingly.
Is there anything you have to do differently from an offensive standpoint, considering, you know, Coach Rogers is so close with Coach Eck and Coach Linehan was under Coach Eck and Coach Slice? Are there any different calls, or is it like just an entirely new offense?
No, I mean, obviously there's familiarity with both sides. You know, I know from our standpoint, it goes the same way, right? I was in that Eck offense as an assistant and really know that kind of the ins and outs of what they do. So I've been able to help our defense in that same way. The other matchup, though, our offense with their defense, I think, you know, they're going to know some stuff that's probably in our system because it's going to carry over. But I do think we've got a really good plan, and there's going to be plenty of stuff that they haven't seen. So I think you try to maximize what you think they're going to be in and try to take advantage of that.
Adjust accordingly might be the key to this game.
Mm-hmm.
How comfortable do you feel with how agile your guys are, your staff and your players, in terms of being able to adjust on the fly?
Well, I think with what they've been given, both offensively and defensively, they're well equipped for change. We do a lot of stuff on offense and we do a lot of stuff on defense. So there isn't a lot of looks they haven't seen, you know, and I feel very confident in our coordinators and position coaches in terms of their adjustments. They will definitely see what we got going on and what we need to do differently. And I feel very confident they'll make the adjustments necessary to have some success.
Living in the same area, do you have any kind of familiarity with Coach Rogers? Do you guys know each other at all or spoke before?
Yeah, we've spoken before. I don't know Coach Rogers well. Obviously, we have a lot of ties from the South Dakota State coaching tree, but we did get a chance to meet over the summer at Avery Showcase out in Tacoma, one of the big kind of satellite camps in the Northwest. And, you know, seems like a really good guy, seems like a down-to-earth guy. We talked a little bit about doing stuff in the future, just kind of jointly with dates with, you know, camps, pro days, things like that. So definitely a good neighbor to have, but there's no neighbors that are too friendly when it comes to week 1. So.
What's Saturday going to be like for you personally as this huge first step in a huge chapter?
I don't know. I can't really say now, right? I think, going into it, you want to say that you'll be even keel because really it's just another football game. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, this is one game of the 12 we're guaranteed. But anytime you're doing the first time of anything, there's going to be some adjustments, right? It'll be a little bit surreal, I'm sure, at first. I'm sure there'll be a little bit of nerves, but once that ball's kicked, I mean, it's 120 yards field. That's 53.3 wide. I mean, it's the same anywhere you go, whether that's high school, whether you're playing in the big house at Michigan, it's really the same. So I think once that ball's kicked, it'll all be football from there.
Have you done anything unique to convince your guys even in this game?
I don't think I have to do anything unique. I think they believe that already. They know that the work that they've been putting in matters. They've been competing at a high level with, an offense and defense that I think will be one of the best in FCS football. So we feel like with our personnel, with our scheme, and with our want to, we feel confident. I don't think it's convincing of anything. I think our guys will be very confident because of the work they put in.
Obviously, this is a game that means a lot to both of these fan bases. What have you kind of tried to impart on some of your new guys in this program about, kind of the gravity of a game like this and what it would mean to Vandal fans if you guys were to go down there and beat them?
Yeah, I think, we talked about the history earlier in the week, just kind of what this series looked like. It's been a lopsided series, obviously. I believe the last time the Vandals beat the Cougs was in 2000. They beat them back-to-back years, 99 and 2000. So we've talked a lot about that and just how much this rivalry means to both programs, but specifically us. How it can be a great measuring stick game and what we want to do with our goals, right? If we want to be, a Big Sky contender, we want to be a national contender, well, you got to be able to beat FBS teams. And so I think our guys are extremely motivated from that standpoint, and they definitely know the history for sure.
It looks like you guys' strengths are running and playing defense. I would imagine those are two nice cards to have going into the game.
Yeah, I think anytime you can run the football, control the line of scrimmage, and play good defense, especially if we can get some turnovers, create some havoc plays on defense, I think that's our big goal in this game is to just create some long third down situations and get the ball back. But, offensively, we should be able to run the football against pretty much anybody. That's kind of our identity. But I do think that our quarterback is very gifted and can distribute very well to this young receiver group.
Speaking of defense, is the depth chart pretty much the same as spring? Is it pretty much locked in, or is there any surprising moves?
I think you're going to see a lot of guys play, right? I don't know that there's like any shockers necessarily. I think we've had some new guys that came this summer that have really made an impact that should see some playing time in the game. But other than that, I feel pretty good about our starters and our two deep in general. And really a lot of our two deep could start, right? So we feel comfortable with a lot of players playing, especially defensively. And especially at that edge position, we feel like we have 5 or 6 guys that can really play. And so I think there'll be some good rotations to get guys a blow when we need them because that week 1 game is always a little bit more taxing. You're playing a lot more plays than you have been in practice. But I do feel good about the two deep in general and feel like it's similar to spring, but a lot of the new faces have really made some headway as well.
You've got a core of seniors who played the Cougs tough, played Oregon tough, beat a couple of Mountain West teams. I imagine they're telling the rest of your guys, Cougs are not so bad. How much have you been able to rely on that?
I think a lot. We have experience, right? It wasn't that long ago that they went down and beat Wyoming last year, right? The year before that, we put a kind of a hurting on Nevada, and so beating FBS schools to us is really nothing new, I would say. So I don't think that the challenge is unknown to our guys, but they also know that they've got to play us too, right? It's not a one-sided game, and I think our guys are, especially the returning guys, are very excited about that, and have I think kept the locker room aware of this situation, that this is just another football game, right? We're not playing, someone that just came off a national championship run. So I think it's very, very much a FBS game and an opponent that we feel confident we can go in and compete with.
Having a true freshman as your backup quarterback, I guess, how would you kind of say that Sawyer has come in and kind of risen above the rest of that quarterback room, and why are you so comfortable with having him behind Joshua?
The kid makes plays. He's a very cerebral kid. He came in and and kind of dialed in our offense by the time he arrived to fall camp. So now he was just playing instead of learning during fall camp. And, he's able to make some throws that, some other guys just aren't capable of making. And he has escapability with his legs, and he's just a very confident kid. He's got moxie. I feel like when he's in there, obviously the guys feel that way with Joshua. When he gets in there, they know, hey, that's the guy. But I feel like they feel similar when Sawyer gets in that huddle. He's not a true freshman fumbling his words or, not owning that huddle like, many true freshmen do, right? You come in there and you're with a bunch of grown men. Sometimes it can be intimidating, and Sawyer just does not have any type of intimidation bonus. Bites doesn't. He sees it like it is and wants to go compete with whoever's out there with him. So
before fall, you said there were some competitions with the skill position groups. Was there any players that rose to the top or any players that stood out?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of guys. Offensive. Are you talking offensively? Yeah, I mean at receiver was really where I thought we had a lot of competition. Obviously Tony Harsty and Emerson Cortez have a ton of experience. They played a lot last year, but in comparison to what we've had, right, they're not experienced. They still are kind of guys that spent their first full years as starters or key contributors last year. But those two guys have really kind of risen a bit. I think those guys know what to do. They're executing at a high level, making plays. Davion Superales is another guy. We have a true freshman, Nolan McWilliams, from Seattle, that I think is another guy that you could potentially see out there making plays at receiver. And then we got a bunch of other guys. Noah West Barranco was a guy that played a little bit as a freshman last year. Trenton Swanson's another guy that's really stepped up in the receiver room. So I think we've got a deep room of guys that really care and want to get better every day. So whatever combination we put out there, I feel very confident in.
Is your two deep healthy?
Yeah, we're actually as healthy as you could be, I think, coming out of a fall camp, right? I think anytime you're in fall camp, you normally lose, 4 or 5 guys you weren't counting on losing. We really just haven't had that. We've been very healthy, especially up front on the offensive and defensive line. So I think anytime you can stay healthy throughout camp, right, it helps, right? Anytime you lose numbers, now guys are taking extended reps, and we really didn't have that situation this fall, fortunately. I think it's a testament to our strength coach, Jamal Cooper. He's done a phenomenal job. Awesome. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you being here.